Message to Sligo. This is what we need. Not a park, not green grass. Come on, let's snap out of it. We need this quickly before. We need one of these guys. We need a museum. And we've a lot of history in Sligo. I think we still got Yeats' Enka. We've tons of stuff. I mean, 4 or 5 museums worth of stuff. Acres of history and artefacts and relics and all kinds in Sligo. And unfortunately, there's a deep-rooted shame in Sligo. It's set in. It happened for centuries. If you think about the time of the famine and places like that, as if you could think back that far like that. But if you understood any of it or heard about it, you would have heard how there was a deep colonial shame, or sorry, just a deep shame. You know, they're blaming themselves. The English were blaming them. The church was blaming them, and they're just demoralised in many ways. So they hid the shame, like all they do with all the other traumas, as if it's never happened. So they go through 1916 without changing any of the acts or the laws and keeping them, building on them. Same system, same laws, same policies, same outcomes, because it's the same system. That's what systems do. They're designed to produce outcomes. If you hadn't changed them, the outcome was that we would continue to suffer as Irish people. The people who once anciently came from the same war we're all involved in, split into battles for power. They didn't care whose systems was any longer, as long as they were in there. So they went on and claimed our identity, called themselves settled Irish. We were the others. We had travellers, tinkers, itinerants, bogs people, woods people, all kinds of people. Centuries, thousands of years. Geales, Celtic people. All there was the neurological mentality, culture. That's all. There's nothing genetic about it. I mean, you could be born into any culture, any identity, any language, and you might believe and feel and think that's as perfectly normal and reality could be, and it is in that program. But unfortunately, Ireland is still an English program, an English colonial state of mind, and this is why we're seeing all these systematic abuses against travellers. Again, people only know they're doing it. Even the people who are trying to help us are doing more harm to us. So we have that kind of long history of statistics and facts. You know, it's like every year, worse it's getting. This is despite investment and funding. This doesn't mean we've got a bad government or an evil government or bad people or evil people. No. I don't get any of that shite to play, to be honest. Just history wasn't fixed, and I hope that we're in a better place now than we were before, that we can understand it. And again, keep this in mind if you want to. I'm an Irish traveller, so we got fucked over by the Catholics, the Protestants, the English, the Irish, whatever you want to call yourselves. Everyone, at one time or another. Not because we're vulnerable and we could be taken advantage of. Look at us. We're still dying, standing up, fighting. So, well, I'm sitting down at the moment. But, it's kind of, we're here. We're still on that same side of that history, the Irish part of it. The settled people did get a kind of, they were tricked, they were lied to. A bit like what happened to famine, when people were completely emotionally, spiritually, and every other way broke, psychologically broke. People were literally eating each other out of starvation and everything else. That was the situation they were put into. Because we were here our ancestors were here for over thousands of years. So we would have run through many, 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 many times like that. But this one seemed to be the worst one, wiping almost half the island. A lot of people drowning in the ocean trying to get off the island. And like I said, those went away rooting up graves looking for flesh to eat. That's, these recorded parts of history, the English recording them and so on and so forth, scholars. Talks about environment. It's like you never know when your environment will change. And then all the skills you might have, a bit like refugees and direct provisions. Scholars, doctors, nurses, professionals of one kind or another maybe. Or not maybe, we know there's a lot. But they are labelled, politically labelled. So none of that matters. The situation with Ireland is unfortunately that it's still colonised. It's psychologically colonised. People go around call themselves Fianna this and Fianna that and all our labels, all our identities. People who are using them are in a Anglo-Saxon mentality at the moment. No offence. I mean, I'm speaking. I'm literally sharing these words with you. The difference is we know these words are not ours. We know this language is not ours. We know this culture, this mentality, this environment is not ours. The difference is do you. I mean, only because you don't speak the Irish language or you don't know your history. Think about that. If you don't know them too, who are you? And if you're operating in an English language, one that came here and persecuted and went to great extremes to brainwash the indigenous people on the island as they had on other islands around the world. This is recorded stuff. The whole about colonisation wasn't have a fight, let's fight for the bank or the king or the queen or the castles, or whatever it was. It was about neurological shift. It was about psychologically imprisoning people into a state of mind. This is why you'll have working classes. Why is there working classes for so long? Centuries, working classes. And they're still working. And yet the people who are super filthy rich are admired as hard workers somehow or another. Well, somehow or another it's just monopoly, land, properties. Your best friend working with the money box, guy who presses the digits. MMT. Anyhow, we'll be coming at this at all angles and all different directions at the same time. No, we won't. That's impossible. And if there is a way, maybe we will. But for myself, it's nothing personal against anyone. You know, we're literally dying as a result of the unchanged Ireland. And we're dying because the settled people are embarrassed to deal with it. Ashamed. And the vast majority have not got a clue that the 1916 uprising failed because you cannot be an Irish person inside an English person's systems and institutions and education, topics, subjects, every word, every thought, every feeling, every emotion is done with an English mentality because it had erased the Irish one and it had prevented people from reaching their history, their knowledge-based systems of who they were, what happened and how it happened. That's who I am, my friends. An Irish traveller, tinker, itinerant, hedge people, woods people, bogs people, minkers, pavies, the Geales, Neolithical people also. I'll throw them in. Sligo, get yourself to the museum. Have a good day, my friends.